I was 16 years old, and it was the day before Thanksgiving. I went to take a shower, and as I stepped into the tub, the new bath mat my mom had just bought slipped out from underneath me. I fell, and I fell hard, and when I did, the anger just surged through me. Turned off the water, got dressed, grabbed the bath mat, and I went downstairs to the kitchen where my mom was cooking. I threw the bath mat down on the floor in front of her, and I started to scream. I was out of control. Out of the corner of my eye, I see my dad coming at me. His fists are balled, his face is red, and the tendons in his neck are pulled tight. And this is the last thing I remember before I black out. When I come to, I'm standing over my dad's body. He's lying on the floor before me, and there's a pool of blood coming from his mouth. I start to shake, and then I just ran. It turns out I'd broken my dad's jaw on the day before Thanksgiving. One moment of blind rage, where your mind shuts off and your body just acts, can change your life forever. And this is something that the folks that I work with in prison understand all too well. One moment of blind rage, and your mind, your life changes forever. My name is Bill Brown, and I'm the Executive Director of Prison Yoga Project. And I'd like to share with you one reason why I think that yoga is an essential key to reforming our criminal justice system. My anger was rooted in trauma held in my body. Among other things, I grew up in a home filled with rage. When my parents fought, I'd run to my room and I'd cower with my back to the door and my hands over my ears, trying to block it all out. My dad would smash things. And I can remember being small and running in terror, being chased by a red-faced giant wielding a thick leather belt. When I hit adolescence, my own anger management problems surfaced. From holes punched in walls to my dad's broken jaw. In college, I punched a door, broke my hand. And that anger followed me all throughout my life, into my work and into my relationships. Nothing helped. When I was triggered, my mind shut off, my body acted, fully enraged. Nothing helped until I started to practice yoga. In yoga, I started to learn to process the trauma that was held in my body. You see, when we take a powerful pose in yoga, like a chair pose, we're willingly engaging a stress response. We get to feel the sensation of anger as it rises up within us. We can learn to recognize that, manage that with our breath, and then ultimately release that. After a few months of starting to practice yoga, my relationship with anger had completely changed. I could still be triggered, but rather than my mind going offline and my body acting out, I could let that anger arise, subside, and move past it. When I encountered Prison Yoga Project and the idea of a healing-centered approach to crime, addiction, and mental illness, I knew this is where I wanted to share my experience with others. I understand that healing starts with the body. Now, I was sharing this idea of observing anger as it moves through you with a group of men in a restorative justice program in Donovan State Prison in San Diego, California. And in the chair next to me was a gentleman named Mark. Mark is a big guy. He's about 6.5 feet tall. He has a long blonde ponytail. The thing I remember most about Mark from that evening is that every time he spoke, he was moved to tears. He's one of the most emotionally expressive men I know. After that evening, Mark started coming into our yoga program every Saturday morning. One morning, after a few months of practicing with us, as the guys are rolling up their mats, Mark walks across the circle and hands me a note. And in it, Mark let me know exactly what he thought about what I'd had to say about paying attention to anger as it moves through you. Total bullshit. Just a bunch of hippie yoga crap. Mark said that the only reason he'd given it a try was because he wanted to throw it back in my face the next time he saw me on the yard. Well, to Mark's surprise, it had worked. Mark had been in prison for 29 years. In that time, he'd made himself and everyone around him miserable. To use his own word, he was unhinged. Mark once told me he didn't just get into fights, he sent people to the infirmary. In those 29 years, Mark had been in dozens of anger management programs. Nothing had helped him control his rage. When he was triggered, his mind shut off and his body raged. Shortly after coming to practice with us, Mark noticed that his anger had begun to subside. Mark understands why you have to bring the body into rehabilitation. He'll tell you it doesn't matter how much you know about anger management, because the moment you're triggered, all that goes out the window. Your body just acts. Now, in the years I've known him, I've watched Mark grow to become one of the most compassionate men that I know. He's a role model to others around him. After a few years on, he handed me another letter. And in it, he said something that's unthinkable for a man that spent 29 years in prison. He said, "I'm happy that I didn't get paroled the last time I went before the board because of how much a better man these programs have helped me to become." He says, "Like myself, I understand that people act out because they're wounded. And when you know that, it makes it easy to see them acting out towards you and wonder how it is they were hurt." Now, I know that what we do in our programs goes far beyond just learning to work skillfully with anger, but this is where it has to start for many of the people I know, including many of the people I know from prison, and including for myself. Thank you.